Ooh, so what's up, everybody? So we're gonna just jump into working with clairvoyance again. Last week, I feel like I was kind of like speaking to a few different angles and just trying to put some things on our plate because I think, with topics like clairvoyance, like they sound really sexy and everyone's like, oh, hell yes, like I want my clairvoyance online, right? Um, and maybe if like we don't have really good boundaries, like our clairvoyance just makes bigger messes, like it doesn't actually help. And then maybe I want clairvoyance just because like it sounds really cool, or whatever the reasons, right? And then again, like we get the thing, and then it's like an Amazon package, I'm just like, oh man, my Amazon package is here. And then I open it, right? And then I'm like, oh man, like, oh, this journal isn't the quality that I wanted. I'm like, I want my 37 cents back, right? Like, but I was all excited, right? And even things that we get and we're like, whoa, look how shiny it is. I like put the book in my bookshelf, right? And like have not opened that book since, right? So um I think when we relate to spirituality, because a lot of these things are like named, right? Like and now, really you could Google search just about any tradition and find, five people leading a workshop on it. You know what I'm saying? Like we're really living in pretty incredible times. And also, it's really easy to like put things in boxes and really easy to be like, oh, I already got that teaching, or like I already have clairvoyance, or like I'm more clairaudient, but like less clairsentient, right? Like it's really easy to be like putting these things in these really small boxes and not letting, like, I'll say, these traditions actually explode these boxes and like explode the things that we think we know. And to me, ultimately, that's this work, right? Is taking like the things that we think we know and letting them just completely like be shattered by the unknown, by what's next, by what's arising, by what's needed of me, what's needed of me from my family, what's needed of me from by my partner, what's needed from me from my community, from the earth, right? So with clairvoyance, what I want to do today is just like, we're just going to start to gently kind of like lift some veils. But I do think it's important to consider why those veils are there in the first place. And there's, when something is unconscious, and let's say, all the time we're like, oh, that's in shadow, and like that person has shadow. What we're saying is like that person's human, right? Because everyone has things in shadow. And the way that something goes about being placed in shadow is that it's just too much for that person to love and to hold with capacity at the time that it happened, right? Because if, I get yelled at and I have like, I'm saying like I ate Cheerios that morning, I'm feeling good, I'm saying I'm wearing like an outfit I feel good in, right? That person yells at me and then I'm like, ouch, that hurt. And I'm like, man, that person's like really upset by what I said. And I'm like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have like called them a loser. I'm like, yeah, I guess that hurt them in some way, And I'm like, and I'm able to like self-reflect and be like, man, I probably shouldn't throw shade. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And like, right. And I go on and like try to have a day after that, right? But if not, right, that person's coming at me, and because I'm not able to hold it, I'm gonna push against it, right? So like they're yelling at me, and I'm like, oh my God, that person's so intense. They're totally a narcissist. I didn't even like, I mean, like I barely called them a name, but I wasn't even saying it to them. Like I was saying that name in general to like that direction that they were in, right? Like I I push it away, and then that experience just waits for me, right? Those emotions just wait for me. But it's not just because I'm, a narcissist or bad, or I don't know, whatever stuff we say about it now. All right. It's like, I just don't have the capacity to be with that experience. I don't have the capacity to be accountable. I don't have the capacity to perceive it in a way that is other than how I'm perceiving it. So when we're talking about clairvoyance, right, for me, my hope, right, is that we can actually start to like lift some of the veils and see what are the things that I am bringing to my perceptions, right? Because all the time we're like, in dynamics, and it does not take someone who's clairvoyant to like talk trash about somebody, right? Like really easily, you're like, that person has dad shit. And you're like, nah, that person has mom shit, right? Like you could even guess, right? And you'll probably be right because they're human. Um, but clairvoyance is required to be able to see what am I bringing to this dynamic. Um, and all the time, people are like, well, it takes two to tango. And I'm like, yeah, but if I'm a motherfucker who's walking around tangoing with everybody, then like it only takes one to tango, right? Like, because I'm over here tangoing with everybody. Um, and that's what, again, I think clairvoyance for me is the gift, right? Is I can see like, what am I bringing to these perceptions? And I'm not saying that like, because there's that whole like framework where it's just like, how did I like bring this into my life, and how am I like, how am I a match to this? And I think that's fair. Um, and I think right now I'm just like, what is it that I'm bringing? Not even what's the mechanism from which reality is producing this experience, right? I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying like, what do I bring? And like having those veils lift to be like, oh, I'm bringing a lot of pain. There is some like red hot pain that I carry around with me that I'm not always aware of, that impacts all of my conversations, right? That like anytime somebody says something, if it touches that pain, I don't like them, right? Or I'm gonna be rude, or I'm gonna disconnect, right? So hope that makes sense. And again, those veils were there to protect us, ultimately, to protect us, to help us like grow, right? Like be able to hold those experiences fully. And then the next thing, right? Also here, just happening in our crown, right? Is like there can be almost some like, I think of like, if my room is messy, if my kitchen's not clean, right, then my crown is certainly going to be messy, right? Like there's going to be some things in here, some spider webs, some like dusty things that we can have earth and universal energies just really like start to clean up. And I think like deep cleaning, right? I don't know about y'all, but I don't deep clean every other week, right? Um, maybe, let's say a couple months, maybe right around spring, there's another one, right? So like those deep cleanings for our, let's say our crown and third eye, we can do them periodically, and you can like do some like energetic hygiene. But the one we're gonna do right now, we're just gonna go like a little deeper, because people be asking how often we should do these things. I'm gonna check these comments. So old school choreographers would read you saying you weren't getting their work quickly. They say stuff like, oh, damn, you can't get this because of your abandonment issue. That's brutal. That's deep. Tying up my current struggles. Perfect. All right. Um, and so let's say the tidiness in my crown could be, and it's funny, like sometimes I'll be like meditating, trying to do my work. And then I think of like, this fear will open in my body, and I'm remembering I didn't study for this one test. And in that moment, I'm hitting a pocket of fear of like when I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? And it's just in my crown. There's just like this little pocket of energy. And I think of them, I see them as like little bubbles. I have y'all imagine them like little pictures, because that little picture sometimes, right? It's like me crying, test, it's crossed out with an F on it, right? And so that little picture, you're just like, that's a story right there, right? But sometimes like it's easier for folks, it's just like a little caca bubble of energy, right? It's like a weird brown, fuzzy thing. Like you can see it in different ways, but pictures work for me. And then when we start to clear those, right, that space can then be filled with our authentic energies and our authentic capacity. And that's often what we're trying to do when we're unlocking gifts, right? Is we're not trying to necessarily, right, like have this thing that's extra, right? It's we're often trying to uncover a capacity that's like intrinsically ours. So anyways, comments, questions. Yeah, not the caca bubble. Yeah, I caca bubbles help me do my work, and then I'd be finding them all the time. And then I'm getting through trauma bonding soon. I probably love those then teachers. Yeah, those old school teachers though, those I feel like for a long time, yeah, I thought energy work meant getting my ass handed to me all the time by like people. Like that's what I thought it meant. So maybe D'Amica, you could agree. Like, um, hanging out with those old school teachers is hard. It's hard. They do not hold back. It's definitely worth it in the end. It's always for me, it's been out of love, but they don't mess around. But they went through my love. Sheesh, yeah. All right, so y'all game? Y'all want to do it? So let's just jump in. So we'll start by creating a beautiful energetic container. We'll imagine that all of us are in this bubble, and we're going to call on earth and universal energies. And we'll imagine that these earth and universal energies are holding this bubble and they're responding to our intentions. And I love having the intention that this is a space where all of us is welcome, a space where we can like grow, explore, try new things. It's also a space that like I'm not in charge of it, right? Like our guides, our inner wisdom, the earth, the universe, like those are the voices that are like really invited. Perfect. And then we'll invite our guides and vaster guidance. And so we're working on clairvoyance, but I think broader, I'm really wanting to work on just like clear perception. And being able to have like sovereignty, have choice. And then towards that intention, we're gonna just allow whatever openings, whatever veils are ready to shift, whatever experiences are ready to heal in a way that's like super like sustainable, thoughtful, gentle. So we don't have to go like super hard. It's not gonna be that fun if we overdo it. So just kind of really allowing our inner wisdom to take the lead. And then from that beautiful big bubble, we're going to bring our attention to our individual aura. And we'll imagine that that's a little bubble around us. And we're going to bring earth and universal energies. And we're going to start to ground our energy bubble. We'll put magnets in front of us and behind us and start to release energies from that bubble. Good. And we're releasing things that happened in our day, releasing just anything that's ready to kind of clear. And then you can even imagine like our conscious mind, we can make a little bubble for everything that our conscious mind could be thinking about. So that could be dinner plans, that could be what's going on for the rest of the week. And just imagine like your conscious mind can kind of let those energies be in that bubble. They can be loved up by the earth. And we're just going to give our conscious mind this full permission to be here in this process. to like relax. And especially when we're working with clairvoyance, sometimes there are these moments where we kind of like overthink it, where we're getting information, but our conscious mind kind of will interrupt or like almost like overanalyze. So we have a bubble for all of our thoughts, and then just imagine like we have our conscious mind, like a symbol for our conscious mind sitting out in front of us. And we're just gonna wash over that symbol with earth. And you can imagine that those earth energies are clearing any of the heavy stuff. Kind of deep cleaning our conscious mind. Allowing all thought patterns to release. If it's appropriate, our intuition can release old beliefs. Allowing old opinions to release. We'll bring healing, nourishing water. And just continuing to release energies from our conscious mind. And we can really intentionally release other people's energies from our conscious mind. So other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, other people's beliefs. Perfect. We'll bring the element of fire. And with that element of fire, imagine that your conscious mind gets full permission to start to release energies that it wants to transmute. Gets to release energies so that there's brand new space in our conscious mind. One more time, if there's those bigger patterns, even like bigger identity pieces, we can use that fire to support our conscious mind in evolving. We'll bring the element of wind. One more time, allowing other people's thoughts, any intrusive thoughts, any thoughts that feel like they're not our own, or they're really old, or just not accurate. Again, allowing them to clear. We're going to refresh our connection to the earth and bring really beautiful universal energies in. And we're just going to give our conscious minds full permission to heal. Allowing our conscious mind this really big space to evolve. And that can look like bringing lots of sparkles in. Really celebrating our conscious mind. Celebrating for all the things that it has to be on top of. Conversations, stories, faces, people, appointments. And just with lots of love and gratitude, let's like celebrate our intelligence, our ability to learn new things, to make new patterns. And again, our ability to like perceive. And then let's let the earth, the universe, and our guides just like offer any blessings, any healings for our conscious mind. And then we'll let these energies clear, dissolve, and integrate. We'll just let that gently evolve our identity, gently evolve our self-concept. Let those energies evolve our connection to our belief system, our reality, our relationships. And just imagine like this new conscious mind, you can just kind of like hit play and just move, let it integrate. And there's a way that the conscious mind communicates with the subconscious, and that communicates with the body, and those communicate to the soul and vaster parts of ourselves. And just imagine like that full spectrum of our identity gets to like reset. Perfect. Perfect. And one more time, let's refresh our connection to the earth. And we're going to call on all these really beautiful, really nurturing energies of the earth. And as we call on them, they're going to come up and start to just hold the energies that are present in our aura, the energies that are present in our body. And we've been talking about clairvoyance, and I shared how much clairvoyance can help us heal. And just however much that feels important to you. When you think of healing, if you're like, yes, I would do whatever it takes. Or if you, when you think of healing, you're like, oh, I don't know. You're like, maybe next year. You know what I'm saying? Like 2022 is probably a good healing year. Just like let yourself kind of like rest into that like dedication, that clarity, that desire to heal. And that desire to heal, let that be the why that we're opening this clairvoyance for. And then as we deepen and like make our desire to heal bigger, let that equally open bigger and bigger possibilities of opening our gifts, opening our clairvoyance, perception. And as that starts to open, again, we're bringing these capacities to moments in time that we were overwhelmed, moments of time that we felt scared, that we felt hurt. And so as we're opening that clairvoyance, Let it gently start to lift any veils from our crown, our third eye. And as those gently start to lift, we're going to increase the permission to see what places in our aura and in our body are ready to heal. And we can kind of start with just general, like front, back, side, or area in our body. And when you find an area where there's stuck energy, we're going to bring earth and universe energies, and we're just going to hold that place and just increase your permission to see what's happening there, what's stuck. See if you could start to see maybe what happened or what emotion is there. Maybe you can see color, shape of the energy. Again, with the understanding that this place needs healing because in the moment that the situation happened, we didn't have the capacity to hold it fully. And so we're going to bring earth and universe energies, and we're going to start to hold and love that place. And just again, watch with your clairvoyance and see, what does that earth and universe energy look like? See, how does that energy start to transform as you bring these energies in? And then we can ask this place for whatever it wants and needs. Imagine you're like, what do you need to heal? What do you need to release? Whatever that energy is, imagine that as it asks, you bring that energy in. And just watch as this place clears, heals, and evolves. And as that happens, we're going to one more time refresh our connection to the earth, calling on brand new earth energies. Open magnets in front of us and behind us to release energies. We'll have our guides recall our authentic energies, filling any spaces, filling any gaps. Now we're going to invite our guides and that master guidance. And let's just imagine that we allow our crown and our third eye to energetically open. And I like to imagine that my guides, using earth and universal energies, just start to like tidy up my crown energy center. So they're in there sweeping, mopping, rearranging things. You can imagine they got those old speakers and they're listening to music while they clean. And again, coming from that depth of our asking for this evolution, let that equally unlock our clairvoyance and unlock capacity our third eye and crown. And that can be like the front, the back, top, bottom, every aspect of this center. And we're just going to let these energies integrate gently and sweetly outside of time. You can even imagine that we started integrating some of these energies a couple weeks ago, just so I have full permission to gently integrate. Perfect. And one more time, we'll refresh our connection to the earth. Let these energies integrate. We'll clear with magnets. We'll recall our authentic energies. And then for fun, we're going to take this new clairvoyance out for a spin. And imagine like you could put in front of you, put a little image of you right now with this new clairvoyant system. And then put a little picture out of, your aura before this session. So again, your aura before this session and your aura now. And then notice color. You can notice brightness. Notice size and shape. And then maybe we can be more specific. So like Let's put a little image now. We can dissolve those. Put a little image now for your conscious mind before this session and what your conscious mind looks like after the session. And the same thing, notice who's looking happier, brighter. Again, color, shape, size, texture. And then finally, we'll dissolve those and we'll make a little symbol to represent how much of our clairvoyance was online before the session. And how much our clairvoyance is online after the session. Perfect. We'll let all of these energies dissolve, all of these energies integrate. We're going to consciously individuate, and we're going to do that by just allowing our energies to be recalled from everyone else's spaces. So I'm going to call my energies back from everyone. And then imagine that if there's anyone's energies in your space, you're giving them back to them. So recalling, releasing. Good. If there's anything that I shared in this process that was really helpful, just allow your guides to take that information and make it your own. That way this information can be assimilated. It can be aligned with what you're up to. We're going to also bring all these deep earth energies and just really validate and celebrate our growth in this process. Validating ourselves on a personality level, on a soul, and an essence level. Now that we're individuated one last time, we'll refresh our connection to the earth. We'll have our guides recall our authentic energies. We'll clear with magnets and just let all of this beautiful work evolve aspects of our identity, however much is appropriate. Let it evolve aspects of our belief structures, our reality structures. And let that evolve how we show up for our emotions, how we care for our unmet needs. Let it evolve how we relate to other people, our expectations in relationships, the boundaries we set in relationships. And all this beautiful clairvoyance, again, really allowing it to be directed towards our healing, having our guides help us be really thoughtful with this clairvoyance. So when we ain't out here making messes, helping us ask the right questions. And boom. So what's up? Good work, everybody. We started earlier, so I can end a little bit earlier. So I have 10 minutes. If anyone has any comments, questions, we'll stay in the chat. Just because there's so many of us. But what's up? Comments, questions, statements. Anyone get to see some cool things when we were comparing those images? Lots of thank yous. Love handing it over to my guides. Somebody asked what part of unlocking gifts being seeking out how to be responsible with our gifts. Oh, that's fun. Definitely. So like, I had a friend that used to be like, it's okay not to know. He's like, but it's important to want to find out, right? And then he was like, and it's okay if you're not ready to want something right now. He's like, but at least want the thing, you know. So it's like, it's okay if like right now I'm like, I want to heal this thing, but like I don't think I'm ready. And like, so it's okay to want to heal. You know what I mean? Like that, and that's enough. And because let's say if I'm like, I want to heal, I'm like, oh, that's scary. And I feel like, you know, I'm like, I don't know, that's a lot. I can't say that yet, right? So I think, you know, it's okay to like be like, I want to unlock whatever of these gifts is going to help me. And then like, I want to unlock whatever is going to help me relate to my gifts. I want to unlock whatever is going to help me protect my gifts. You know, like it's like, it's one step removed from that thing. So yeah, I hope that's helpful, makes sense. Somebody sharing a lot of trust was unlocked. Found that my clairvoyance was directly connected to healing of my throat chakra. There we go, right? So with that information, right, like I can then prioritize healing this center, because then that's going to make the space to bring in clairvoyance, right? So that's perfect. Needed that deep clean. I know, isn't that fun? That comparison of images was fun. Great. Yeah. I share this all the time. Like, you don't have to be clairvoyant to get information. And we can practice, you know, there's many times I do sessions like all the time. And there's times that I ate my breakfast, I like am like good, my guides are good, we're good. And I can like clairvoyantly perceive everything, like things that aren't even helpful. You know, a person's like, I want to know if I should get a new job, right? And I'm like clairvoyantly perceiving past lives, future lives, what their mom ate for breakfast that one day, right? Like all these things, shit that's not even helpful, right? And then there's other times that like somebody is asking me for help and my clairvoyance isn't there, right? Maybe it's not there because I'm going through my own healing process. Maybe it's not there because like I've been on my phone, right? And I didn't like establish my energy container, right? So in those moments, right, it's a lot of it is like trust and like relating how I ask the question, right? So like when we compare this and this, I'm not necessarily clairvoyantly perceiving, right? But what I am doing is through comparison, gathering information. And I always give this example, but it's like, you know, I wake up, I feel off. I don't know why I feel off, but I can feel that there's an energy that's in my space, right? Literally, I can ask like, is it closer to my head or is it closer to my feet? And I'm like, you know what? It's like feels like at my stomach or something, right? And then I'm like, okay. And I'm like, if it had a temperature, what temperature would it be? You know, icy cold or like red hot? And I'm like, oh, it's definitely more like hot, but it's like pretty hot. And I'm like, cool. If it had a color from like red to violet, what color would it be? And I'm like, it's closer to violet. It's closer to violet, right? Like my clairvoyance didn't just say, why? And I'm like, oh my God, right? It's just like by comparison, I'm gathering information and that will help our clairvoyance refine. So anyways, that's why we're doing the comparison. It's for me, it's a way to like take raw talent, which sometimes we have, sometimes we don't have. You know what I'm saying? Some people are born clairvoyant. I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was born in the hood. We didn't have clairvoyance. We had ducking from wild shit that was happening, right? Um, but like through asking questions and being like unwilling to just like be like, I don't know, being willing to find out, like these skills can unlock, they can deepen, they can be nurtured. So, anyways. Energy field feels 10 times fresher. That's what's up, Elizabeth. You out there doing hard work too. So if it feels good, then that must have been a good process. Um, I have a really overactive crown and been working on this. This has helped totally. And that's, I'm sure at least you will understand that like sometimes we don't need to like open more things, right? We need to just like allow something to be stabilized and held and loved. So sweeping the crown was awesome. I know my guides had ranchera music on with them big old speakers, reminding me of my mom when she would be out there cleaning. So much tension in my back, realized I was holding on to so many criticisms, harsh words. Ashley, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and that prevents us from seeing things accurately. Perfect. I felt like a small baby being held by the universe. Lots of warmth and energy in my crown and back. Perfect. Lots of levity and release. Perfect. So many deep tears. Saw that scared little girl was able to give herself. Oh, that's beautiful. That's awesome. What's up, Biryani? This unlocked a lot of frustration, made me aware of the anger that I've been sitting on in my crown. That's awesome. Definitely had a veil. Totally. And again, like that clear perception was that like that anger didn't have the safety. Maybe we didn't have the tools to like hold that anger before, right? So we can also celebrate that now we've grown to the point that this anger can now has like a safe space to land, right? That like I'm qualified to hold this anger, and I became qualified because like I started doing my work. So the anger is like, maybe I'll come up a little, you know what I'm saying? Like we're like, we'll see how they hang, right? So that's really great. My clairvoyance directed me to my root chakra. Perfect. Glad you came too, Samira. This way I perceive is inconsistent, but it's very visual. I'm totally someone, yeah, that's I'm like 40 comments too late, y'all. So, but again, sharing that like I don't always like I don't know of like in the universe, like I have quite a bit of clairvoyance online, but to me, I don't rely on clairvoyance. It's like me relying on being able to run my mile in like under 5 minutes or something. You know what I'm saying? Like if I ate a turkey, you can't expect me to run a mile. You know, if like I need to go to the bathroom, you know what I'm saying? Like I cannot be expected to run a mile at 5 minutes at any point in my day, you know, like and similarly with clairvoyance, like I think, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think it just kind of ebbs and flows. There's been times, especially like earlier in energy work, I'd like something would open and I'd be like, damn, all right, I'm gonna heal my mom stuff. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna channel for a friend. I'm gonna like write my first class. I'm gonna paint my, I'm gonna like write my autobiography, paint a self-portrait, right? And then like I'd have all these things online, and then I would feel my guides be like, bro, please stop. Please just like, you're doing way too much. And I wouldn't listen, and they would literally take my clairvoyance away sometimes. They'd be like, bro, this is why you can't have nice things. Like, they're like, give me that clairvoyance back, and like, and I would literally lose my clairvoyance for a couple of days. So again, I don't, this is just my experience that I'm sharing with y'all, but it is inconsistent. Because I think life is inconsistent. Our bodies are inconsistent, like again, I hope it's a good example, but just because I can run a 5-minute mile at a track meet doesn't mean that if you wake me up at 4 a.m., I can run a 5 mile starting from my bed. Like it's I can run that when there's all these things like perfectly in line. So for me, it's like the stars, the temperature in my room, my relationship to my guides, 5 lifetimes ago, whether I processed that thing, then my clairvoyance is online. And for whatever reason, when those things aren't online, I ask and my guides are just like, I don't know, bro, wing it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't wing it. I have their guides tell me what to do. But All right, so where will these clairvoyance videos be archived? Thank you, great question. So for folks that have the membership or have access to the database, I'm gonna post all of these videos under, I'm gonna call it Clear Perception. And then we're just gonna work on unlocking clairvoyance for a few weeks. Then at clairaudience, clairsentience, we'll work on that like maybe until the next year and like maybe a couple months after if it's fun. So it'll have its own little category because there's like 100+ videos now. Good work, Shira. So grateful for these meditations. All right, I'm like 30 comments to the, oh, too late, sorry. Okay, just trying to see what else. Cool. All right, yeah, good work. Cool. So we're gonna work on this stuff for the next little bit. So hope you guys can keep coming. All right, y'all. See you next week.